So imagine the scene. One day you receive an email from a supplier asking for details on the APIs you have that connect to the customer database and to the outside world. Now, your first thought, this could be a phishing email, but before you dispense with it to the spam folder, you see out of the corner of your eye the marketing director's details in there as well. So you thought to yourself, well, better check. So you forward it to the marketing director. And in fact, the reply comes back, yes, we've already commissioned the supplier to enrich the customer database with additional details to help us with our B2C marketing campaigns this year. Now then, this is news to you, especially since that you've just had a meeting with the senior management team disclosing your plans on the platform, which has marketing functionality anyway. And there was an opportunity to disclose their plans for the year as well in terms of what they wanted, and this didn't come up. So service metrics are fine. You thought to yourself, well, why the secrecy? What's going on? So what do you do in this kind of situation? So I put forward here 3 options. Do you complain about the fact that you weren't informed and this was kept secret, and why didn't they check with you first? Secondly, do you tell the supplier? Do you tell them that the suppliers can't go ahead with this until that they've been audited and there's a information security review to do before anything happens? Or do you try to understand what their motives are and see whether the requirements that they have could be fulfilled by your marketing platform, and where does it sit in the product roadmap? I'm John. This is a series of short articles called Tales from a Portfolio Manager. I help people in corporates plan technology across teams. So you could be someone who has a technology portfolio of clients, projects, services, or a backlog of features, and you have to manage them across a wide portfolio of teams and different people in order to achieve any number of goals. I've been doing these kind of roles for over 20 years and for many corporates, and I've got a few tales to tell. So the best thing I can do for you is to encapsulate that experience into my own advisory, training, and coaching so that you have the opportunity to reflect on how you can solve some pretty challenging issues that you come across and be more successful in your technology role. If you like the content, you can subscribe for a free 2-week trial via online courses below. And thanks to those who've already subscribed. I look forward to speaking to you soon. So before I give an opinion on which option would best, let's take a step back for a second to understand the bigger picture. I've come across situations in the past where the perceived withholding of information is a common occurrence. There may be many possible reasons for this. It could be the company culture and politics that can drive different teams vying for decision rights or to increase their importance within the company. Typically, it's just simple oversight where in a large company, information like this just falls through the cracks. And because of the number of people to engage to get something done, people just haven't applied sufficient thinking to join the dots. Other times, there's a history of where expectations have been left unfulfilled. And the only way to get something done has been to do it yourself, or instead of relying on, say, central functions, either because there's a lack of resources, budget, or it would take too long. Another step we'd need to take is to acknowledge that there may be some reasons behind why the different teams and the different, maybe a breakdown in communications. It's not that just the other side is out to get you and they're evil, but maybe some of you could be nursing some personal gripes and need to put that idea to one side to call on your rational focus to deal with the problem in hand. Be prepared that maybe other teams have not been sufficiently diligent, and in fact, to give a well-planned and agreed outcome, requires actions from all people involved in the planning process. So, my approach to solving this issue is to do some research in addition to engaging with the relevant people. I personally want to check, where is this requirement on the product roadmap? Should it be given onto the product roadmap given the company's strategic direction and the marketing department's needs? This could be quite involved in conversation, but typically there is already some history around both aspects and we need to join the dots. You can ask the question, how can we achieve the same objective if delivery cannot be delayed? Are there any existing substitutes or workaround that don't require a technology fix? This again may require some research and preparation before having the conversation. Now, the outcome of this conversation could drive a whole series of further conversations on the relative prioritization and dependencies required. I found that there's typically a short-term workaround, to get us over the hump of the initial requirements if it's shown to be valid and urgent. If that means plan A, then there needs to be some acceptance from the other side about the delay as we do the required due diligence. Most technology teams want to help and work towards the business outcomes, but find the arbitration and the negotiation of priorities messy. Prioritization of this plan can depend on two other often overlooked things. The first thing is what you personally can commit to in terms of time and helping your colleagues in this situation. That would need to be agreed with your line manager. And the second thing is what the other teams need to commit to find the agreed solution. I found that the work required to understand the solution is a cross-team exercise, obviously, and there is a risk that one person ends up gap filling where some teams don't fill in their parts, and this can lead to bottlenecks and unforeseen delays. So these expectations need to be called out early, and people need to understand their commitments to help reach a decision. As a final thought on this particular aspect, I've also had to check in the past the legal status of the contracts with the suppliers. Since we might need to discuss the cost and legal implications, should we need to reverse out of this particular contract. Inevitably, people have short memories, and depending on the culture of the organization, this situation ranges from an exception to the norm. You're not alone. Plans are not set in stone, but need to be constantly updated. So telling the story of why the plan is in its current state and the changes made are as important as the plan itself. Organizations can improve their maturity in how they plan technology, but this is typically more than just a new policy document or a process template or the organization of a new regular meeting. It requires the organization to change in terms of people's attitudes, their performance, and the way they collaborate. So that's it for today. Stay tuned for another episode in the next couple of weeks on Tales from a Portfolio Manager. Thank you.
This article is sponsored by sdbp.institute, an online training and coaching platform that enables participants to become strategic digital business partners. In just 4 months, with a 2 to 3 hour a week commitment, teams and individuals can demonstrate value and gain confidence through practicing the tools and techniques that help people collaborate on technology roadmaps across teams. Whilst giving a foundation understanding of relationships, customer value and alignment, the courses can help participants drive results for themselves, their teams and their organisation. One client said, "Our stakeholders have started to trust us more based on better expectation management and small incremental improvements through applying the principles and approaches taught in the course. It gave fantastic insight." Many organisations and individuals have benefited from the instruction given on our platform. So you can go to sdbp.institute and see how you and your team can gain a certificate in Strategic Digital Business Partnering, or contact us for bespoke corporate training.